Hello and welcome to the next episode of the SADDO podcast, the sitcom archive deep dive overdrive. I am one of your co-hosts, Alison Barton-Simmons.
Now then, I'm Eggs Benedict.
And we are here. We've been here for a while now. We are almost towards the end of the fourth series of the super 70s sitcom, The Good Life.
Yes, it's a belter, isn't it? I'm glad we picked it to do first.
I am.
Because we do have plans to do lots of other sitcoms, but it was a good one to start off with, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We've had plenty to get our teeth into, and it's been a delight so far. That's how I describe it.
Definitely. And we're nearly at the end of Series 4, but this, and then 4 more episodes to go before we move on to another sitcom. So by all means, send us some suggestions as to what you think we should look at and pull apart.
We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on where we should take this next, but just still concentrating on The Good Life, we're now up to Series 4, Episode 5 today. The episode called Suit Yourself. Yeah,
we went to the effort of finding out the name of the episode.
We did this time, yes, we did.
Yeah, we thought we'd best add.
But we're a listen-along podcast, so you can join in by watching the episode that corresponds with the podcast episode. We tweet out each week where you can find the episodes to watch, either on Daily Motion. There's a few sort of cut and shut episodes on YouTube where you have to sort of search out a specific third of the episode. It's a bit strange. Or you could just watch it on good old DVD.
But of course, it's not a prerequisite. If you just want to listen to us without watching the episode, you can do. A mate of mine stopped me in the street the other day. He's been listening to it unbeknownst to me. He just shouted over, "Oi, oi!"
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, an oi, oi in the street. I love it.
Oi, oi. And he said he's
Fabulous.
not been bothering watching the old ones, but he says we describe it enough for him without him going back.
Oh, see,
I don't know if that's perhaps a criticism that we describe it in too much detail, but he said it was good fun. And he's enjoying listening, so that was nice to know.
Wonderful. I think we paint pictures with words, Ben. That's how I see it.
We must do, yeah.
Big, massive, stupid pictures like Jackson Pollock's.
But you don't have to watch the episode, is what we're saying. Just listen to us if you like, and leave us a review. Always leave us a review.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Before we get started, though, Ben, I am going to pull on again my Les Dawson trousers and do a blankety blank, if you'd like.
Oh, you're going to les up?
I am indeed. Are you ready for a 3-rounder of blankety blank?
Probably not, but let's go for it.
Let's have a try.
Good life blankety blank, blankety blank. Good life blankety blank, blankety blank. Good life blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. Blankety blank.
Okay, this first one. So your first blankety blank is: Tom, did you wash your hands after messing about with those blanks?
Right, I'm going to say Barbara.
Yes.
Now, what does he mess about with? Well, he messes about with a lot of things, doesn't he? He's a tinkerer. Could have been chickens, but I don't think so. Go on, give us the episode.
It's from Say Little Hen, Series 1, Episode 2.
Oh, so it might well be chickens. Did you... I'm going to go chickens, sod it.
Yay!
I thought it was too obvious.
Tom, did you wash your hands after messing about with those chickens? Correct. 2 marks.
Hey, what a start.
Blankety blank number 2. What am I supposed to do? Watch from the back door in my blank blank. What am I supposed to do? Watch from the back door in my blank blank.
Go on, give us the episode.
Backs to the Wall, Series 1, Episode 7.
This is where Tom had knackered his back, isn't it?
Yes.
So Tom said it.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do? Watch from the back door in my... I'm trying to think if he's wearing any sort of crutches or nightgown or I don't know. Stupidity. Watch from the back door. In my pyjamas.
Well, it's blank blank, so it's 2
Pajamas
words.
and slippers.
That's 3 words.
Oh, shit. In my gym jams.
I'm sorry. But you got who said it.
Yeah.
But in fact, it's what am I supposed to do? Watch you from the back door in my baby bouncer.
Baby bouncer?
Yes. Because he was feeling like he'd been infantilized because Barbara was taking over and getting on with all the work herself.
Well, that was a hard one. I don't even remember.
I know. It's a tough one, that.
Oh, well. 3 out of 4.
Okay. Our final blankety blank.
Hold on, because I'm doing so well, is this a super match game?
It's a super match game.
Super match game.
So you've got 3 points out of a possible 4 so far. 2 final points. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I will say this, Tom. The day of the blank is coming.
Margo.
Yes.
Woman.
Yay! 5 out of 6.
5 out of 6? That's better than ever before, eh?
Well done. You didn't even need the episode. But it was from the Happy Event, Series 3, Episode 2. And it was indeed Margo.
Wow. I'm really chuffed with that.
Well done.
Well
done.
Not that I'm competitive against myself.
Yeah.
My past records. But yeah, that's pretty good going. Hey!
Super duper.
I enjoyed that. Thank you.
That's all right. So should we get on with the deep dive into this week's episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life.
So we're into Series 4, Episode 5, Suit Yourself. And we start off on the golf course again. We're back on the golf course. Jerry and Margo are busy golfing as a couple, having a jolly old time. However, there's balls in the bushes. It's a bit tricky, I think, for good old Margo.
They're bickering away, as they always do, though. This is just their MO, isn't it, in their marriage? But they
just
seem
default.
to get off on it.
They love it. They do. I think they've even sort of admitted, haven't they, that that's part of the fun for them. Whereas
more or less.
One couple might see it and think, oh gosh, they don't get on. I think it's just part of it's part of just what they do. However, Tom is in the bushes, busy collecting nettles. He does sort of mention at one point as well that when he's asked what he is doing, he does say, I am raping Mother Nature.
Yeah, definitely. #different times. Not sure that's something you get away with now, or that you really should get away with, because trivialises the act somewhat, doesn't it? I'm not really a big fan of that.
No, it didn't sit right with me, but obviously it's the 1970s. It was, like you said, different times, and obviously was acceptable to discuss it and use that word in that way.
Yeah. It's a metaphor, but it's just a poorly chosen metaphor. We're not going to come down too harsh on the writers for this, because, like you said, it's at different times. But
yeah.
I do like the fact that now isn't seen as acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's going too far. I'm not a big fan of controlling language to the nth degree. And because I think that's a little bit fascist, but I think in this case it's good to nip that in the bud, as it has been.
Yes.
Because Alan Pardew used it on Match of the Day, and I think he lost his job over it, which was probably too far. But, you know, there you go. He could have easily said reaping Mother Nature, and that would have been fine.
It would. There are other words that would have suited, I think.
What are you doing now? I'm raping Mother Nature. Don't be obscene.
Yeah. Well, what the fucking loon is doing hanging around in the bushes anyway, rather than just... You know, there's nettles everywhere, isn't it? Why does he have to go on a golf course? Mithering
his friends while they're busy playing golf, and
he's got like a scythe. He looks like some sort of weird demented reaper hanging around the golf course, doesn't he?
Oh. So he's busy collecting his nettles that he's going to take home, and they've got plans. The goods have got plans for these nettles. So when Tom's back at home, Barbara is rolling up on the drive in the rotary cultivator, which is covered in sheep fleeces. Which is they look like sheepskin rugs rather than sheep fleeces, I think, at this stage.
Yeah, definitely.
But the plan is to use these fleeces to create wool to be used for clothing. That's the plan.
She doesn't want to actually let the Ledbetters in on this, though, does she?
Not
She's
at all.
enjoying stringing them along.
not at all. So the plan is to dye everything green with the nettles. That's the combination of the two things: the collection of the nettles and the fleeces that Barbara has been given after working on a farm. They were given as payment, weren't they, when they worked on the farm?
I don't know if this is seasonal, because we've seen before that they do something horrendous like 70, 80-hour weeks. But now they're giving up labour time to the farmer.
Yeah.
And then they're going off gathering nettles, and then they're dyeing, using the nettles to create dye, and then they're using a loom to spin the wool.
It sounds very labour intensive.
Yeah. I mean, just, have a day off, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. So Barbara is then in her kitchen and is elbows deep in the dye from the nettles, and there's things strewn around the kitchen in different varying shades of green. And Margot's desperate to know what they're doing. What's all this about? She turns up in the kitchen and she's desperate to know what's going on.
But once she's turned up, I would have thought it's fairly obvious what's going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's quite transparent when she comes in and sees that Barbara's got green arms right up to her elbow.
Yeah.
They know that he's gathering nettles. They know that she's brought the wool back. So Margot's been a bit slow in the uptake, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. They show her, they sort of take her through the different stages of what they're doing, with the carding, with the, things with like nails sticking out, and the sort of stretching the fibres of the fleeces.
Yeah.
Tom's apparently made his own spinning wheel after Margot's, decorative spinning wheel music box didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite impressive again. He is handy. But why go to all the subterfuge with Margot if you can make your own anyway? Isn't that his
I know, yeah.
his MO? Why didn't he just make one?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the bit where he started, he obviously likes to tease Margot.
Yes.
And he teased her by saying, "We tease the fleece." And then he starts teasing the fleece.
Yes.
In effect, teasing Margot. So lots of sort of kind of like double meaning there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was quite fun. Barbara reveals, doesn't she, that the table, because Margot says you ruined your kitchen table, and Barbara reveals they used to use it at table tennis before she got too good, and then Tom hid the bats so they couldn't play anymore.
Oh, again, he's just never
Speaks
happy.
Volumes, doesn't it?
He's never happy when she's sort of like one step ahead. It seems.
No. Look, it's got to ask the question. I know I've already said this, but at this stage, the fuss that they are making to make their own clothes, they just never seem to learn that their time is worth more.
Yes.
I know they're trying to be self-sufficient, not spend money, but how much is your time worth? I know it's fictional. Have a day off, Ben. I know,
but I get it. The pig farmer that came with the pig stud, is that what they're called?
Yeah, the pig pimp.
The pig pimp, who was giving them tips and ideas on how they could better live this life more productively. I'm sure he didn't have on his list start dyeing things with nettles, because it just seems to be a time sapper.
Yeah. He called them out over the fact they were just playing, and that's what it seems. It's like every time they have an idea, we'll do it. But as we know, this is really born of the fact that Esmond and Larby were running out of self-sufficiency ideas. Yeah. But what's quite clever is the way they pull all this together. It's impressive how the story comes together, because they pulled in the night school from a previous story. Yeah. They've pulled in the spinning wheel and the loom from last week. So such care and attention goes into their writing, even if it is very contrived to get to this stage for this story. You know what I mean?
It's quite a nice setup as well for the end of the very, very end of this episode, which we will get to.
Which is a great scene, isn't
and
it?
It's all set up for that, isn't it? For that joke. And it's worth it. The payoff is worth it.
That's the acid test, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to be a big laugh to be worth all this exposition. But what I enjoyed from this whole scene with Margot having a demonstration is that it was quite educational, because Barbara even says, like, you can get yellow from onion skins and brown from walnut shells. The whole scene is exposition for what they're doing, but it also explains the art of weaving your clothes, which I didn't know. So I actually found it quite educational.
Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life. Good life. Good life.
Barbara cites cottage industry again to Margot.
Yes.
This is the third or fourth time she said, we're a cottage industry in these episodes. And every time they create a cottage industry, they burn it to the ground because they don't want to be caught in a rat race.
It's that balance, isn't it? It's that balance between what they're doing and these extra little bits, isn't it? And they never seem to quite get it right. They just seem to run at it like headlong into this new addition, but then aren't happy when it works and when it takes off and when it starts to take up their time.
Shiny object syndrome. That's what they've got, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I quite liked when I can't remember if it was Tom or Barbara who said, "Would you like a demo?" And Margo says, "Do you mean a demonstration?" As if it was a demo was a sort of shortening that didn't exist in the 70s. She must have known what they meant.
Yeah. Jerry arrives and he reveals to Margo that Sir has invited them for dinner at the Fatted Calf. Sir is due for retirement, which we knew was sort of rumbling, and that this was sort of a story that was going to break soon. And he's about to announce his successor, which Jerry has been greasing the wheels for his own gain, I suppose, for in willingness and readiness for taking over from Sir. That's the dream for the Ledbetters. There's others in line too.
Well, there is, because Margot's been studying the form, hasn't she, closely?
Yes. There's Snetterton.
Yes.
Is one. And the other guy is Dolby. So there's other people that are in line for the role as well. So it's all about out manoeuvring those two for the Ledbetters.
Margo sets the scene here for later on by saying how snivelling Snetterton is. And she also weirdly casts aspersions about his sexuality. Yeah,
she does. There's hints, isn't there? There's hints going around.
Yeah. It's probably all homosexuality is on its way from Epsom. And
yes.
Margo's horrified by this. In this scene, I like the way Barbara says, "Oh, do let's sit down." It was almost like something from the Famous Five.
She is very jolly hockey sticks, isn't she?
Well, yeah, because when it comes on to them, the idea of making them a suit, she's the one who says it really sort of well-spoken elocution. She says suit rather than suit.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, she is very, yeah. It's easy to forget that the Goods are middle class as well.
Oh, do let's sit down.
We sort of judge them as being extreme, opposite extremes, don't we? That the Ledbetters are this middle class aspiring to the higher echelons, and the Goods are like a lower class version of that. But it's not really. They're both coming from the same sort of starting point, really, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but what's interesting is that despite the fact that they're both middle class, they've got different outlooks. Where the Ledbetters are very conservative.
Yeah.
And very about climbing the ladder. The Goods don't care about the materialist stuff. And then we also saw, of course, when we had Lady Frodsham, or whatever her name was. What was her name?
George.
Yeah, George. that applies to the upper classes as well. Just because she's upper class, it doesn't mean that she's necessarily snobby. You know, she was far less snobby than Margo. She was more interested in helping people, which I think is a nice social message that they've built into this.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't need to be one extreme or the other. You can sort of be all-encompassing, can't you?
Yeah, just because you're born into a certain class or you've been raised doesn't mean your values necessarily reflect the stereotypes around
Exactly. Margo and Jerry are now discussing about what they're going to wear to this occasion, because it's obviously a big occasion. And Tom says, "Put your checkbook away." And he starts measuring Jerry up. I think he's going to weave him something.
yeah.
Which would be amazing. But Jerry's got it all under control. He's got this format. He's got this thing that he's put together of his plans for how he's going to take the plastic animal in cereal box company forward.
Yeah. One of the things that he's written in that format is that he wants to withdraw luncheon vouchers from the proletariats on the first floor in order to make a bust of Sir.
Oh, what a dick move.
It's a proper Tory move, isn't it?
Horrible.
I mean,
Oh.
You could definitely see the current lot doing that.
Can they not just make a bust out of the plastic that they make the lions out of and tigers for the cereal boxes? Just make it out of plastic.
Makes you think Jim Hacker would have privatised the NHS, doesn't it?
Oh.
Bravo, Jerry.
Don't panic, Margo!
I'm not panicking. I'm awaiting instruction.
So, we're back in the kitchen of the Goods, and Barbara's got very green hands and has managed to not only dye the fleeces with the nettle sludge, but also make dinner from it. And she's prepared soup with the same concoction. Oh, it made me feel a bit ill looking at that soup.
Well, it is, true to their values of self-sustainability and not wasted, isn't it? She's used it for two different things.
Oh,
she's
yuck.
being inventive.
Very inventive. I hope she's not just heated up the dye and just served it as soup. I hope she's sort of like siphoned it off before she started.
Have you ever had nettle soup?
I don't think I have, because I've got a fear that it would be scratchy. I don't think it is scratchy because they don't leave all the stinging bits in. But I can imagine it would. It's probably very tasty, but
but we'll never know because we won't try it, will we?
No, I don't want a scratchy throat.
But instead, they eat the chicken instead, don't they? At this point, when they decide that the nettle soup's horrible,
Olivia the chicken.
They've moved on from that episode where Tom couldn't bring himself to shoot the chicken somewhat.
Yeah, no, it's banging and it's on the plate.
Yeah, very single-minded and heartless of Barbara, I thought, really.
I think it must just get easier, I suppose. The things that you fear at the beginning, like shooting a chicken in the head with a gun, just becomes easier when you know that you've nothing to eat, perhaps.
Yeah, but she definitely shows a ruthless side there,
She does. Margo and Jerry come bustling in and they're all dressed up to the nines to go out for dinner with Sir, and they look very dapper. I'll mention this more in Fashion Corner later on, but they're very classic looking, aren't they? They look very dressed up and lovely.
Yeah, and the Goods are really sweet in their encouragement as well for Jerry. They're really rooting for him, aren't they?
They are, and off they toddle to their dinner at the Fatted Calf, and this is quite a fun scene where they're all sat around a table in the restaurant.
Very hammy, isn't it? I enjoyed the hamminess of it. There's
lots of trying to outdo each other, and Margot's great. She's very good at selling Jerry. She's very good at making people aware of Jerry's strengths, I think, which is such a good wife.
Well, we saw in that when she wrestled control of the Dramatic Society from Dolly Mountcharft.
Yes.
We saw how good she was at politicking in that scene.
She is.
We just see it again here, how well she's playing the room and playing Sir, who, did you notice, didn't bring Felicity with him? I
did spot that. I wonder what that was about.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's got a bit on the side now. Mind you, she wasn't there either, so
no,
who knows?
Just Snetterton. Maybe that was his date. Maybe him and Snetterton were a secret couple.
Oh, yeah, because he's possibly on the other bus.
He's turned up on his own, along with Dolby and Dolby's wife.
Dolby is really desperate, isn't he?
Oh,
far too desperate.
Yes, yeah. And Snetterton I found very snivelling as well. I think the name seems to sort of suggest...
It's a great name, isn't it? It's like almost Dickensian, the way Dickens had these brilliant descriptive... But the Dolby's like SADDO, isn't he, with his plaudits?
Yes, he is!
He's getting out his calculator and trying to impress Sir that way. And Sir is pissed as a fart. He doesn't want to be fucking charmed with a calculator, does he?
No.
And practically tells him to pipe down.
Sir's quite emotional about the fact that he's leaving and he's passing this on. He's passing the baton on to the next generation almost.
Yeah, Margo says, "How tragic," when he announces his retirement.
Yeah, she does not think that in the slightest. She's very excited.
She's shameless.
She is, isn't she?
Yeah.
However, this fact file that Jerry's put together in preparation for wowing Sir at the meal, he's dropped it in the garden on the way to get in the car at Tom and Barbara's. So it's on the driveway, and luckily Tom and Barbara have found it and turn up at the Fatted Calf with the thing to give back to Jerry.
Yeah, but of course by this point Sir is like absolutely bluted.
Well, now here's the rub. I shall not be announcing my successor until the last moment before I leave. He who replaces me is going to have to be absolutely the right chap.
Yeah, sir.
Quite unfair, but snap question. What makes you think you've got what it takes?
He's doing all the jowl shaking and growling and sort of barking orders like a sergeant major, isn't he? Sort of enjoying holding court, and he's almost teasing them because he's making them in the middle of this meal, which is supposed to be a celebration. He's making them sort of almost apply for the position that all three of them want. And this is where Jerry's panic come from, when he suddenly realises he hasn't got his format. But Snetterton is obviously too crawly.
Yeah.
the other fella is obviously too tragic, and you just know as soon as the goods turn up to save the day with the format, that Jerry's going to smash it out of the park, isn't he?
Absolutely. And it was nice to see the goods reciprocating all the things that Jerry does for them, because you can imagine that is exactly what Jerry would do if it was Tom. He would turn up with the thing in order to help save the day, not to get any glory from it, but to just help their mate out.
But Jerry wouldn't have asked for the taxi fare home.
No, he wouldn't. That is very true. Sir meets them at the door as well with Jerry and encourages them to come in. Tim and Fatima, as he thinks they're called. And then he calls him Ted later on. Yeah. So he really is paralytic and cannot remember the names. They come and join the party at the table. And Sir does say that if Tim was still with JGM, you'd have been hard pushed to beat him, which must have pissed all three of them off.
I think he's on the wind-up because he didn't even pay any attention to Tom. I think he's just doing it because he likes to have them all competing against each other.
Exactly.
His ego.
And he's pissed. He's pissed as well.
Yeah, and he's pissed.
So the goods plan to sit down and join the guys at the table and take their Macs off to reveal wonderful green knitted clothes. Tom's suit is amazing.
Yeah.
It's the obviously I will mention this in more detail in Fashion Corner, but I think that it made me laugh when he took his coat off, and is it Jerry that just shouts, "Good God!"
Good God. Yeah. But Briar's, we mentioned his physical comedy before, but the way he sort of stands there fiddling with his pocket and just sort of looking all like cock of the walk because he's got this homemade suit on, I thought it was hysterical. Really
They've put that together very quickly as well, the goods, considering that they are just in the midst of dyeing and weaving, and then they've managed to put together a suit in such a short time. It is class.
It's a belter, isn't it?
It is.
I really want a suit like that.
A knitted suit, and I like the fact that it was a little bit like it was like lolling a bit on one side where it had just been like overwoven a little, but it was a great reveal.
Do you think Jerry would have ended up with the job if he'd let Tom weave him a suit and turned up wearing that same suit?
Oh God, I think he'd have just looked like a madman. I think Sir would have just thought that he was having some kind of episode.
Yeah,
perhaps.
I think Snetterton would have got it. In mentioning Snetterton, the actor who played Snetterton, Philip Maddock.
All right.
Ruth Maddock's ex-husband.
Is that right?
Sorry, you can't say Ruth Maddock without pronouncing it. Ruth Maddock. Philip Maddock.
Heidi, hi. Oh, wow.
Hello, campers.
Oh.
Yes. So there you go. There's a little bit of trivia.
I like that. That's good trivia, that. Anything that's involving Ruth Maddock is good trivia.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention in this episode, which was
yes,
where Tom and Barbara had done their demonstration and Margo and Jerry were just leaving. And they're sort of discussing making their own suit and all this sort of business.
Yeah.
Jerry and Tom trade insults. Jerry comes in and calls them troglodytes.
Yes.
Which is a nice word. You don't hear very often, but it's quite...
You don't know.
...appropriate for the way the goods live their life. And then Tom, in retaliation, calls Jerry a gracious liver, which isn't a phrase I was familiar with. Do you know that one?
I've never heard that before.
Because it's a really quick-fire scene. He just says... Jerry comes in and says, troglodytes, and Tom just says, gracious liver.
No, I vaguely remember that, I do. But go on, tell me.
Gracious liver apparently is a person who lives elegantly and according to standards of good taste, frequently with an element of pretentiousness implied.
Ah, there we go. I think it's with the highlight on the pretentiousness for Tom to say it to Jerry.
A more apt riposte I can't think of at this time. That was a perfect riposte from Tom, because Jerry is definitely a gracious liver.
A gracious liver.
There you go. I might try and bring that back.
I initially thought, when you said it then, I thought it was like a liver, as in a body organ.
Like his liver's fucked from all the gin he's been drinking.
You gracious liver. Yeah. Oh. It's just a gin holder, isn't it, for Jerry?
So much fashion in this episode, beyond the obvious green suit of Tom's. Let's have a little trip over to Fashion Corner.
Fashion Corner, Fashion Corner. Fashion Corner, Fashion Corner.
At the start of the episode, where we are on the golf course with the Ledbetters, they're both dressed to the nines for playing golf. You know that they've got all the gear for sports. You know, we've seen before that Margo, even for things that are just like a passing pastime, such as the pony club, she needs all the gear to feel part of what's going on. So she's wearing like a roll neck jumper and checked skirt in this scene to play golfing, which it did confuse me a little bit because my husband is a golfer and my son is, and they both have to have like the buttoned collared shirts.
Do they?
For playing golfing.
This is why I hate golf. It's such a fucking snobby sport.
It's one of the things, but it can be like a polo shirt. My son plays in a polo shirt, but these guys have got roll neck tops on,
right?
So no collars, which I don't know if rules change. I don't know. I'm not sure.
You would have thought they would be in a really exclusive golf club rather than a municipal.
Exactly. Course. Yeah, where you can just turn up and play. But yeah, so it struck me that there was roll necks, jackets and slacks. But they're almost matching in this scene as well. If you look at what they're wearing, they're almost like who's dressed you to, because they are in blues and greys and almost in sort of identical golf wear.
Jerry's got a really shit gold cap on.
He has, yes. I didn't like that hat. In a later scene, Margo is in a shawl. It's like a striped shawl, grey, white, green and orange, like really sort of funky colours, with I think what was an elephant brooch on the shawl, and wearing a black hat just to sort of like tie the outfit together, and looked amazing. Barbara reveals the tabard that she was making from Tom's jumper in the previous week, where she cut the arms off to make leg warmers. And she's actually wearing the red jumper tabard in the kitchen.
I didn't even notice, you know. That's great continuity, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's there. The thing that she was making, it's there in the next episode. Margot's in a red jumper with a white shirt and brooch. I think it's like a pantsuit that she has on, and it's so cool. It's something that you can imagine people wearing now. That kind of style of like jumpsuit is still very, very fashionable. So Margo ahead of her time. When Jerry arrives at the goods in order to tell Margo that they're off for dinner with Sir, with the possibility of having the job handed over, Jerry's very suave as always. It's like a check jacket, and he's got a hanky in his pocket. When they head out for the meal later on, they're both in classic black and white.
It's like a penguin suit.
Jerry's in like a tuxedo. Margot's in full-on black with a fur stole, which is very of its time. But they both look. You could sort of transport them into modern day, and it would still look classic. They wouldn't look out of place. They do look very elegant. And then the big reveal at the end is Tom's knitted suit, which, like I said, it's a little bit misshapen, which is probably not the worst thing you could say about it, but it's slightly misshapen. It's a very, very nettle green colour into it. It's definitely absorbed a lot of that colour from the nettles. But it's very, I don't know, it's very Tom, isn't it? I think he suited the crazy green suit.
It's just occurring to me now that it almost matches Margot's car in colour.
It does. It's very 1970s green. There's certain colours, certain shades of colours, which I can sort of see within different time periods, and this is a very 1970s green, I think.
We had an orange Austin Allegro, and when I see it in pictures, I just think to myself, I've never seen an orange like that orange anywhere in modern day life. It's just a 1970s orange.
It probably doesn't exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist anywhere else, and I felt that about this green. It's very of that time, isn't it? But he's even got a tie on with him, which really made me laugh. That he's got a tie on, he's got the whole kit and caboodle, and you're waiting for that. Obviously, when people first watched that in the 70s, they wouldn't be aware of where this was going. But the big reveal at the end of this suit, I think, is a testament to the writing of this episode, but also I think Richard Bryce's comic ability he knocks this scene out of the park as far as I'm concerned, because he's just just the reveal of it under that coat I think it's perfect. It's a perfect Good Life episode ending for me, this.
I wonder who's got that suit now. I wonder what happened to it.
I wonder where it
I wonder
is.
if Dickie was buried in it. I would have wanted to keep it if I'd been Richard Bryars.
I'd have had open casket just so that everybody could see it and touch it.
Either that or the green jumper with the holes. Little, I don't suppose it's fashion, but a little shout out. What would you call it? More like grooming. Sir is sporting some crazy big bushy eyebrows.
Yes.
Proper old man eyebrows. I'd never
Old
noticed
man
in
eyebrows.
previous episodes how bushy these eyebrows were.
It's not often you see big bushy eyebrows like that anymore.
Oh no, it is.
Really?
Oh yeah, particularly on old people. Yeah, any old celebrity, you get to a certain age. Apparently, if you start plucking them, like I pluck my eyebrows, I get big cables coming out my eyebrows.
Yeah.
Now, so I pluck like white ones, so I pluck them, but then they just grow back stronger. Apparently.
Yes. I wish mine did. I plucked all mine out when I was 16 and now have literally no eyebrows.
Oh dear, yeah,
Yeah.
you're drawn on efforts, are they?
They're I had them semi-permanently tattooed on because I did such a bad job when I was a teenager.
I don't suppose you can. Yeah, it means that you can't vary your expression.
No, I just look permanently
You
surprised.
can't raise them, or maybe arch them when you're not happy.
I had to have someone do them because I used to just draw them on myself, and it did look like I was in a permanent state of shock.
Were you not tempted to get one at an angle like The Rock?
I should do. So yeah, they are. I just follow the line now that somebody else tattooed on.
I never. Well, next time I'm over, I'm going to have to inspect your
The
drawn-on
eyebrows.
eyebrows.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. Well, they must be done quite well because I've never particularly, or I'm just unobservant. One of the two.
Decades of practice, but yeah, it got to the stage where I had to get somebody else to.
See, I'm looking at you now, and they went up and down.
Yeah, because
I suppose it's your forehead, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
So they do go up.
I think I should cut this bit out. This dissection of your eyebrows.
Eyebrow gate.
Yeah. Did you have a MVP in this episode?
I did. I think that my MVP for this episode was Tom. I know. I think because the willingness to rush along to save Jerry, to take the format along to the fatted calf for the meeting to save Jerry's skin, and also for his ability to share the skill that he'd learnt with Margo. He was quite keen to show it off as this new skill that they developed to weave the wool to make clothes out of, and also for the green suit reveal at the end. Just the comedy of the green suit.
Yeah, for Briar's acting.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Tom also, I'm afraid.
Boo! No, not really.
I know I booed, but yeah. There was nobody else to really give it to in this episode.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you said, but also he still doesn't care about Sir's nonsense. He's not remotely interested. He just really takes the mickey and humours him.
Yeah.
He doesn't go too far to the extent that he might ruin Jerry's promotion chances, but he just really couldn't give a shit when Sir starts buttering him up, saying, if Tim was still at the company. Tom's just like, oh, turn it in, Andy.
Yeah, he's not taken in by it, is he, at all?
No, not at all. I did like Jerry is the MVP I vote for most these days, and and Tom isn't going to trouble Jerry at the top with these two votes from us. But I did like Jerry at the very start of the episode where he pruned the rose bush. Was it the rose bush? And Margo was saying,
"Oh yes."
He wasn't entirely sure where to prune, and he's like, here. And she's like, no. Oh, well, here. And then he just got fed up and snipped the whole thing off.
Just chopped the whole lot off. Yeah.
That made me laugh. But no, yeah, like you, Tom, this week.
So, as we are nearing the end of this series, do you know what the next episode is, Ben?
I went to the effort of finding out this week, yeah.
Well done.
It is Sweet and Sour Charity.
Oh, okay.
And as a title, it doesn't ring any bells.
No.
Can't remember what it is. So
okay, well that's good.
We'll find out next week.
To watching that. So if you're enjoying what we are doing, you can join us at SADDO Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. We post out rare videos and clips of things. On our Facebook page, you can find us by searching for SADDO Podcast. Subscribe to our newsletter by visiting our website at saddo.club, where you can get more information about us, read the blog, listen to episodes if you don't do podcast apps. You can get in touch with us as well via email at saddopodcast@gmail.com. Tell us all about the things that we missed. And subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from.
So we'll see you next week. What's it called? I've forgotten already.
Sweet and sour charity.
Chicken. Sweet and sour
No,
chicken.
it's a chicken then. Sweet and sour charity.
So we'll see you next week for Series 4, Episode 6. Sweet and sour chicken. Charity. Sweet and sour charity. Until then, I'll see thee.
See you next time.